Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Municipality of Monroeville Citizens Night and the agenda-setting meeting. Today is Thursday, December 9th, 2021, approximately 7 p.m. We'd all kindly rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. All members of council are here except Mr. Williams. I'm sure he'll be back with us next Tuesday. So right now, we're going to open up our Citizens Night, which you may address council on any municipal item. I know there's a couple of folks signed in, but they're going to hold until later on in the meeting. But if anybody else would like to address council, it is your turn to do so. Mr. Serafini, will you sign in, sir, please?
Most definitely. My name is Robert Serafini. I've lived in Monroeville for 35 years.
Welcome.
Thank you. My first question is to Mr. Little. Any update on our building over there where Starbucks on Northern Pike?
Well, they're building.
I see the building, but has PennDOT come up with anything?
No, we have not received anything from PennDOT with respect to the highway occupancy permit as anything definitively unless we receive something today. But no, to answer your question, no.
Well, let's put it this way. I realize a bunch of you people are retiring at the end of this month, and I want to say congratulations, except for that one debacle of voting for that. And I've enjoyed everything you've done for this 8 years that you've been here. You still got some way to go.
Thank you, Mr. Serafini.
I mean, in time-wise.
What does that mean?
Well, a lot of things.
I'm used to it now. That's a couple of years, I'm okay. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
I mean, you got a long way to go yet. But anyway, I've enjoyed a lot of things you've done with the police and fire department, and I want to congratulate you on that, because you've brought a lot of things to light I don't think anybody else could have.
Right.
And last but least, Mr. Wilson. He's a golf partner, good friend, and like I said, I don't think he's ever said anything I didn't like up here. And like I said, if everybody could be like Mr. Wilson, honest and forthright, I'd be very happy. And like I said, I want to say congratulations to all of you, and like I said, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year also.
Same to you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Serafini. Thank you.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'll keep the floor open for anybody who would like to address council. Seeing that, we'll close that proportion of the meeting. We'll go to our agenda-setting meeting. And right now, I'll read the executive session announcement, but we'll do that on Tuesday as well. Council conducted an executive session before Citizens Night on Thursday, December 9th, 2021, from 6 to 7 p.m. for personnel and litigation reason. Council legislative action, if any, shall be taken at the Tuesday, December 14th, council meeting. So council, if you please take a look at the minutes of the budget meeting of October 28th, 2021, the budget meeting of November 4th, 2021, the Citizens Night meeting of November 4th, 2021, the council agenda setting meeting of November 4th, 2021, and the regular council meeting of November 9th, 2021. Are there any changes or additions?
No, sir.
Any corrections? Very good. We'll move over to the reports of our tax collection. Once again, council, any issues, questions? Seeing none, we'll go over to our list of bills, budget transfers, and payroll. List of bills and budget transfers, Linda, any issues?
Nothing, sir.
Eric?
No, sir.
Ron?
Nothing.
Tom?
No.
And Steve?
No, sir.
All righty. And payroll report. Steve, any issues?
No, sir.
Tom?
No.
No.
Eric?
No, sir.
And Linda. All right, moving over to our consent agenda. Mr. Whittle, if you would, sir, please.
Okay, the first one is 21-5 ST Sri Shriti Sai Baba Temple Incorporated. Applicant is requesting site plan approval to construct a new religious temple and then raise the existing temple and install associated site amenities. The project area is approximately 1 acre and located at 1451 Abers Creek Road, tax parcel 1108B173 in the R2 one-family residential and S Conservancy zoning districts. Planning Commission recommends approval. And also, item 2 is the same, and I'll read that. This is, applicant is requesting a conditional use approval pursuant to section 401.8 of the Monroeville zoning ordinance number 1443 as amended, to permit a cut and fill operation totaling approximately 12,000 cubic yards of earth. The project area is approximately 1 acre and located at 1451 Abers Creek Road, same tax parcel in the R2 one-family residential and S Conservancy district. And this would be a public hearing, so anybody who would be commenting and testifying would have to be sworn in.
Anybody beside you, are you going to testify? Please raise your right hand if you would. Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Proceed, sir.
Good evening. My name is Mike Wetzel. I'm with the firm Victor Wetzel Associates. I also have Haru Patel. And we're here tonight for the Sri Shriti Sai Baba Temple. And not only here for the, as mentioned in the intro, we're here for the land development approval for the new temple, as well as the conditional use in regard to the grading. What we'll do is we'll go through as what's in the agenda, go over the land development plans that give you an idea of what is being proposed in regard to the new temple, which will then relate to the conditional use portion of the public hearing for the site grading section of the plan. So first off, we'll talk, as I mentioned, the land development plan. The site location, the site is about 23 acres in size and is located along Abers Creek Road as well as along Northern Pike. The site is located in the S zoning district as well as the R2 zoning district. Majority of the site is located in the S zoning district. So when you then look at the entire property area, the property area is highlighted here in red, and as I mentioned, there is an existing temple that's located on the property. On the right-hand side of the screen, over along and through here, that's Abers Creek Road. Off to the top of the drawing is Northern Pike, and there's an existing entrance along Abers Creek Road right along this section that leads up to the existing temple of the site. And then we have the existing parking lot, and then in the back is the priest's residence through this section. Really within this portion of the site is where the proposed temple will be located. So the existing temple, as you can see through these existing photos, it's been here for a while, and it's kind of a mixture of several architectural styles within, well, that's there, as additions occurred throughout the time as it was. The top photo is the view of the existing temple from the existing parking lot, and then the lower one is the back of the existing temple. As you can see, some of the additions and some of the architectural styles that are there, which is leading why we're looking to do a new temple that's going to really fit the needs of the group. So, in regard to the proposed temple, this is the appearance of the temple. The temple will be a 72 by 72 square building, which is only about 600 square feet larger than the existing building. So as you really kind of go in the lower right-hand section, that's the drive going into it, so you have the view of the front entry. And then we have the existing parking lot in the front, access along both sides of the building for down to the basement area, as well as ADA parking associated with it. So it's quite a bit of an improvement in regard to the new temple. So when we look at once again, the existing site, we have the existing entrance drive located on the right. the bluish building over and through here is where the existing temple is and the existing parking lot. There is then a drive that leads down to the back for the priest's residence at that portion of the site. And really what we're looking at is where we do have the existing temple is really just across the way along, and this portion is where the proposed temple will be constructed. So when we look at the site plan, this is where the existing temple was located right along into this portion. As I mentioned, the new temple located through here is 72 by 72 foot square building. There'll be some slight parking modifications to revise some of the layout of the existing parking lot, as well as providing ADA access into the building right along here. Access for the ADA will occur through this sidewalk down to the basement, and then there is an elevator within the interior of the building. Front of the entrance located in through here, and then also a third entrance in the back portion of the site. When we look at the grading plan, the building's kind of being tucked into the hillside. The rear cut slope along that section is shown at a 2.5 to 1 slope. We provided a geotech report that's been reviewed by staff as well as the municipal engineer in regard to the report as well as the site plan area. The disturbance area is under an acre in size for the overall site. And then when we look at the landscape plan, because of that 2.5 to 1 cut slope that we have, we're going to be providing reforestation tree plantings. That's shown here in the hatched area of the drawing. So we'll be placing a tree every 15 feet on center so that they'll grow and kind of take over that cut slope that took place in the back area. There'll be foundation and tree plantings along the front of the building. And then really what we have along through this area that's in green is once again where the existing temple was. It'll be more of an informal lawn area, but under that lawn area is where there will be underground stormwater detention. So all the stormwater management is maintained through the underground system. Once again, the stormwater management plans have been reviewed by the municipal engineer and I find satisfactory, as well as the planning commission given their recommendation for the plan. Now, in regard to the site, we're asking for a modification request to have no sidewalks along Amber's Creek Road and Northern Pike. So once again, on the left-hand side is our site. Amber's Creek Road is located on the right-hand side and Northern Pike on the upper right-hand corner. And we have a series of photos that shows the existing conditions of both roadways. Under photo 1, which is right near our entrance to the plan, you can see in the photo, really along the left-hand side where the property is, that section is a 1.5 to 1 slope that leads directly down to the shoulder of the road. Very much impossible to have a sidewalk at that location. As we continue beyond our entrance, we still have the same kind of site conditions, 1.5 to 1 slope, in some cases 1 to 1 slope in through there all the way up to the road paving. Further down, we have a 2 to 1 slope located along the road area and through this section. Photo 4 down closer to Northern Pike. Once again, we're probably steeper than 1 to 1 slope all the way to the paving. And then lastly, for photos 5 and 6, this is the photos very similar along Northern Pike area through this portion. So once again, we'll be asking for the modification not to install sidewalks along the frontage. And once again, the Planning Commission had recommended that modification request. There are no existing sidewalks located on both of those roads within that area.
Greg.
Council, any questions?
I do.
Please.
Are you going to have an entrance and exit onto Northern Pike?
That's my
No, we are
question.
not. We're using the existing entrance that's there, the existing parking lot. Once again, we're really only looking at an acre of disturbance, and it's only around where the existing temple is, the new temple.
So the only entrance and exit will be off Abers Creek Road?
Correct,
Yes.
exactly.
Yep.
There's no change in regard to the congregation size associated with it, so it's really the same number of followers that will be going to.
Will you be using the Northern Pike as a construction entrance?
No, we'll be using our existing access drive. Really, once again, as you saw through all of those photos, it's really impossible to get any access into the site besides the access that we have here today. So
Linda, go ahead, I have
Well,
something to that.
mine was Northern Pike as well. Are you gonna do any upgrade to the existing access that you are going to use? I mean, that is quite a turn for a fire truck or even vehicles going up and
No,
down.
we're not making any changes in regard to the access. We're
The
leaving
existing
that.
access, yeah.
And then what we had done in regard to our submittal, we supplied a turning radius for the fire trucks as well as for garbage vehicles to gain access into the site. And that area was reviewed by staff as well as the municipal engineer and had found it acceptable
Okay.
through that area.
And then, could you please go back to the concept drawing with the new facility, please? Slide 2 or 3, second or third one that you had, that showed the
The temple?
temple, yeah.
This slide, this one?
We
I
own
don't
it.
have it yet.
Oh, there it is.
Oh,
No,
okay.
The one of the artist's conception of the building.
Oh, you're talking yes.
Keep going. No,
I'm getting
one with
there.
the building, close
Oh,
up.
There
There
it
it
is.
is.
That's what he
Okay.
wanted.
Yes.
Again, I appreciate that this is an artist's conception. Was I'm trying to recall specifically, was there additional fire hydrant included in this? And I know it's
don't-
not necessarily required, and I'll ask the engineering folks to address that.
I don't recall if an additional fire hydrant was added. Once again, for fire protection, the plans have been reviewed in regard to all the requirements for fire protection, as well as it'll also go in front of the getting a building permit application.
Mr. Hugus,
Oh.
if you would.
They have a fire, so you are putting a sprinkler system in there?
Of course.
Currently, we are evaluating whether it is or not. We provide the access from the fire truck.
You have to come to the,
No, two questions.
This gentleman
Fire
will answer.
suppression, yeah, fire suppression,
And
as well as thought on, and I don't want to incur additional costs. It's not my goal in this at all, or deter you from it too, but I'll ask.
There's some
Paul,
discussion.
Paul, you have to raise your right hand, please. You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please proceed.
Thanks.
There's some discussion going on internally concerning the sprinkler system that has to do with the type of construction and the number of people that will be visiting the church.
Class occupancy.
Yes. So once that's determined, it'll determine if it has to be sprinkled or not.
Okay.
There is a fire hydrant on site already in that vicinity.
Yeah, as you come up the drive.
Yes.
Right, I've used it. That's,
Yes.
we've had a fire there before, that's why I'm
Correct.
familiar with it too.
So there is one already there.
The access just blocks once it's done.
Yeah, I mean,
it
the
actually
access,
blocks
I
it
mean,
to
going
do.
back to the access, I mean, it's not a premium access.
No,
but
it's not.
It's been one that's been there since
Yeah.
the early nineties.
Right,
Right.
and it created a problem,
Right.
and I think you may recall, you might even involved at that time, too, that, once, if fire suppression is needed, once supply lines are laid, it's very
Yes.
difficult for other apparatus to gain to the parking lot, which is pretty big. I mean, there's a lot of space up in there, too. We've been going to it for years. Just don't know, I don't want to make it a condition not
Now,
to move
going
it
back
forward.
to if a sprinkler system is required, the fire hydrant has to be installed within
50
Right.
feet of, 50 feet of
So,
the,
you know,
right.
it's like the chicken and egg when we get to that point.
Okay, so we could look at this and have the condition that if
Well,
we
it's
approve
all-
it based on the fact that if the sprinkler system is needed, that
And the
would
hydrant
be
will be
inclusive with the fire hydrant
Right,
and
it'll
everything.
be a requirement of the fire code permit
Okay,
whenever we determine the fire protection system,
okay,
which will be during the construction
Construction
review.
phase
Right.
of it.
In
Okay.
regard to our building permit application.
right.
Okay, thank you
Just
so
want
much.
to make sure
That's-
Sure.
that that's all
That's-
covered.
No, that's fine.
You answered the stormwater management question, so I'm good with that.
Paul,
Okay,
Yes, sir.
is the access road paved properly?
yes, it's an
it-
asphalt, it's
is-
an asphalt driveway.
Is it wide enough for vehicles to pass on that road?
Again, it wouldn't meet the best standards, but it's a functional driveway.
Because years ago, when they first applied for this, I went up
Yes.
and drove around the property, and quite honestly, I didn't find the access road to be passable for two cars, let alone a large vehicle like a garbage truck or a fire truck.
Yep. And I mean, going back to the site plan from several years ago, that's why the access point was coming on Northern Pike, because there's no way to widen the road that's
Right.
there now.
Right, right. Well,
Because
that
of
was
the-
a dangerous
because of the steep
situation
slopes.
anyway.
You know, it's not the best condition.
And as part of our submittal application, we needed to provide a turning radius and access plan for both fire trucks and
Right.
garbage trucks.
Can you enter going south on Avers Creek Road to the right, because coming north, I guess that's north, you can make the left turn
Yes,
coming this way, but going this way, it seems like
it's a tighter turn, but
it's
it's
a more
possible.
difficult turn, yes.
Yes.
Use way.
Yes, yes.
It's accessible.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, council? Once again, I'll leave it open to anybody else who would like to have any issues or any discussion on this item.
And there is one more thing that I just
Sure.
wanted to review in regard to that, our presentation. Once again, that, our discussion we just already had here was more in regard to the land development plans, and really what it leads to the second item in regard to our agenda is really the conditional use request that's there. Falls under section 401B of the zoning ordinance, which requires any grading over 10,000 cubic yards of earthwork that requires a conditional use associated with the plan. So really, once again, as I mentioned in regard to our presentation here earlier, the grading plan is a 2.5 to 1 slope, not this 2 to 1 slope area. A full geotech site report was submitted with borings and reviewed by the municipal engineer, and really we're 2,000 cubic yards over what triggers the conditional use. So we're at 12,000 cubic yards in regard to the reason for the conditional use for grading.
We'll make the corrections for Tuesday.
Yeah.
I have a question, sir.
You have to come on up, I have to swear you in there, Mr. Serafini.
Thank you for letting us speed ahead a little bit. It just helps us understand.
Oh, no
Raise your right
problem.
hand, sir, please.
Glad to answer.
Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth.
I always do.
All righty, please proceed.
He showed that the building was 72 by 72, but he also said there was a steeple, showed that there was a steeple. And I'd like to know the height of that steeple so that the people above will not be impaired by that.
Hold on here 1 second.
It lives right above there.
Yeah, and once again, as we will go through, go through our plan.
Because that's shown right from Burt Drive.
Once again, this is our overall site area, and right along through here is where the temple is located. So really, once again, there's really not much activity surrounding our site through that area, and I don't have, from ground elevation, it is 46 feet high at the highest point. And that's really what's considered to the
Is it gonna
ground.
be illuminated?
Will the,
No, elimination. No. The maximum height will not be more than 25 feet for the steeple.
yeah,
It's just gonna be a dome, nothing else.
correct. It's a special architectural feature that's really important in regard to
And
the
that's
temple design.
46 feet from the ground or?
Yeah, but from the top of the
building?
building, no, from the top of the building is 25 feet.
25 feet. Okay, thank you.
Once again, anybody else would like to address this issue before council? Seeking to, Bob, anything?
Nothing, no.
Seeking motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close?
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All righty, opposed?
Thank you for your time and looking forward to seeing you on
Very
Tuesday.
good, and that'll be addressed next Tuesday.
Yes, correct.
Mr. Little, if you would.
Okay, item number 3 is 21-B SUB Kenneth Nason. Applicant is requesting preliminary and final subdivision approval to subdivide tax parcel 639L66 and consolidate a portion of the subdivided property of parcel 639M108. Parcel 639L66 is currently 3.18 acres and will be reduced to 2.26 acres. Smaller subdivided piece will be added to parcel 639M108, creating lot 14R. The properties involved are located at 2354 Monroeville Boulevard Dialysis Clinic in the C2 Business Commercial Zoning District and 162 Jameson Lane in the R2 One Family Residential District. Planning Commission has recommended approval.
I know who you are, thank you, though.
If you'll state your name for the record, sir.
Richard Terrett,
Use this mic here, please.
Richard Terrett with Terrett Survey and Design. Good evening. What you have before you, well, that's, okay, so I can talk here, can I?
Yeah, when you're gonna talk, use your mouth. Yeah.
All right, project's on Jamison Lane. It's about 2.98 acres total.
Do you want us to zoom in on that?
Yeah, he's-
Oh, okay, you got it, okay. I didn't see it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Mr. Nason owns this property right here, which is a two-story dwelling along Jamison Lane. And he is purchasing 0.7 of an acre off of the dialysis clinic, which is located off of Monroeville Boulevard. And we're gonna attach that to his property as being one parcel is the idea. As you can see, there is an existing private drainage easement going through that property, which is currently owned by, and will be owned by the dialysis clinic. That's their stormwater management facility, which will be still their facility. And also surrounding this property over there, you'll see there's a 10-foot conservancy side yard. It was, I guess, what Paul dug up,
No, I can't.
it was dedicated back in
Yeah, but I can't tell by
86,
where's what.
whenever you put the
This-
dialysis
right.
clinic in there for the rezoning. But that doesn't really have an effect on the property because it's still in a side yard. So it doesn't really matter, but I showed it in there as you can see in color. So the idea is to combine the two pieces of property together, and he's just gonna expand his yard, so to speak. And that's it.
Could you point the structures out again?
Yeah, where's the
specifically, please?
dialysis?
Oh, dialysis is right here in front.
Could we go back
Wait.
to the drawing, please? Thank you.
Oh, it's up there.
It's right here.
So Minerva Boulevard's right there.
Yeah, at the
Right.
base of the screen, it'd be Monroeville Boulevard.
Okay.
Right, exactly.
So it's behind all of that.
It's behind all that, exactly.
Okay.
It's behind their parking lot and everything else back there. It's just like that nobody uses the property back there. But that's part of their detention facility is right here, and so it overflows, it goes down through here.
Okay, well, anybody would like to address this item before council? If you would please come on up. I do know there's folks signed in, so Kim, you can come on up. Stay right there, sir. You might want to be able to answer any questions.
Do I have to sign in again?
No, just state your name for the record.
Okay, I'm Kim Krivda, and I'm a resident on Jamison Lane. And I'm gonna kind of skip, I provided you guys with a breakdown of the entire situation in here. You all can maybe take a better look at it at a future time, but what I'm disputing here, amongst the water issues that have been ongoing for 3 or 4 years, maybe longer, is that they are saying that this property and this planning commission approved the subdivision based on incorrect numbers. There is not 3.18 acres on that, of property there.
There isn't, I think I.
Now, wait, let me finish,
Yeah,
please.
let her.
There, and I went to Allegheny County, and I obtained right here is an entire layout of the plan at the inception of the plan.
Would you like to submit that for the record?
I would, yes.
You can give that to
It
Sean.
has the plan, and it shows the buffer zone on this plan. There was a designated buffer zone, but the 3.18 acres, when I went to the county, the mapping department remapped the property. Right now, it's 2.77 acres. The deed reflects 2.77 acres. I retrieved the deed from the county. It's 2.77 acres. It's never been 3.1 acres. The planning commission approved that subdivision based on skewed numbers, and saying that and I was provided a copy of a rezoning order that happened back in 1987. That's also in your packet. At that zoning order, the mayor disputed the rezoning of that property from C2, from R2 to C2, because it said it interfered with the integrity of the plan, because it's a commercial property right up against a residential property, which is not kosher, I guess, at any time. So there was a buffer zone that was in place, and the buffer zone has been, the swales come down there, the drain comes down there, and that, the integrity of those have been compromised also. I believe that the stormwater management plan that was put into place by the municipality in 2001, when DCI purchased the property, needs updated because it's a failing pond, After I wasn't getting anywhere with the municipality because we've had several water issues, I would call, they would come out, they said it's not their problem, it's coming from DCI. DCI refuses to respond, refuses to make any changes. And I'm talking suck the boots right off your feet water at one of the neighbors, one of the properties, and I get ankle-deep water on my property. Now, I contacted the Department of Environmental Protection because I wanted to know, I was looking it up on the internet to see what would be, how it should be maintained. Well, it's supposed to be maintained on a biannual basis. It should be inspected at the heavy periods of like spring and fall, the rain, because that's when it's supposed to do its job. When the Environmental Protection gentleman came out with Paul Wielden, they refused to let him on the property to inspect the pump.
Who refused?
DCI
Okay, I just wanna
refused to
get that
allow
on the
them.
record.
Well, they're the owners of the
Excuse
property.
me, Ken,
They're the-
DCI is a dialysis clinic.
Pardon me?
DCI is for the benefit of the public, it's a dialysis clinic, right?
Right, the dialysis clinic. Like, they refused to allow them on the property to inspect it. I received an email from the dialysis contact in Nashville, and she said that they would be met with, they would not be allowed on the property and be treated as trespassers. So after they spoke for a while, Paul and the DEP representative inspector said to me that he let DCI know that they are responsible for the maintenance of that pond, and they are responsible to make sure it functions properly, which it doesn't. And a lot of people have incurred a lot of expenses because of that. He put them on notice to that effect, and Paul tells me that we, as a community, as a municipality, cannot force them to do anything. Well, I find that really hard to believe, considering it's causing damage to other people's properties. He also said that the municipality should obtain a scope that gets down into that drain, which is it's quite a distance, about a quarter of an acre would have to go to find out if there's a clog or where it's clogged, and if it's functioning properly. And they should submit it to the municipality, and the municipality should base their recommendation on that. But Paul's telling me that that's not gonna be the case, because if they don't wanna do it, we can't make them do it. I'm appealing to the council to not approve this subdivision until this is resolved. The acreage is incorrect, planning commission made an approval based on skewed numbers, and then nobody researched anything. They need to go to the county and obtain the 2.77 acre mapping that they did. They just remapped it this week, because he said there's not 3.18 acres, there's not 3.38 acres, there's 2.77 acres
And your
there.
paperwork here supports
And
that.
this is the actual plan of Colonial Village, is what it was back in 1961, when Mr. Majeski and his brother bought the property. So when the fire department obtained the property, they paid $44,000 for the property. It went from them to Gregg Security, I believe, for $120,000, from Gregg Security to TMB, which was $275,000, and to dialysis in 2000 for $1.2 million. At the time of the subdivision, back in 1987, I obtained the plan, the minutes, and it says in there, and there's a document in here also from the mayor that says he was not approving this, and someone on record said that several of the municipality officials would make money by this approval of this subdivision. If you read the minutes, you'll find it. It's in black and white. And so I really don't think that this all needs to be settled before that. And based on what happened back in 1987, the municipality at that time should have been ashamed of themselves to do that.
Ma'am, can I ask you a quick question for the document that you have
Pardon
in
me?
front? A question for the document that you have in front of you? I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Is this the recent document
No,
that
this
the
is the
county-
original plan I just got the original plan, but they do, I can get the mapping by Tuesday, because they just remapped the whole thing, and it's 2.77 acres. I don't know where they're getting their numbers, but it's incorrect, and planning made that decision with information that was incorrect, and I think it should be rescinded, and we should go back to square one, and
Kim, I would recommend highly that you get that new
The
map.
mapping, oh, yeah,
and
he'll
we can
provide
get
it.
that in.
They will provide it.
Ma'am, can I ask a question?
Greg, Ron?
Paul, Wilden, would you please come on up as well?
Yes, I can.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Good.
And Ron has a question.
You can rebuttal this.
Yeah, just real quick.
Paul, I want you to up here as well.
Mayor, I had a question just before you.
One question from council. Go ahead, Ron.
She said this is really supposed to be a buffer zone. What's a buffer zone?
Well, okay, you wanted, the definition of a buffer zone is on this, is in this
Yeah,
paperwork.
but
I
it's
put it in.
still, it's still rated as some kind of
Pardon
property.
me?
That's-
I
It's
can't hear
still
real well.
zoned as some kind of
You have to
property.
talk louder.
I can't hear real well, I'm sorry.
It's still zoned as some kind of property.
Not back in, at that time. Back in, buffer zones were designated areas to keep distances from, non-compatible properties.
So
That's
did
what-
that,
you-
did
I
that
haven't-
make the buffer zone was nothing?
Well, it was added on at the time, see, this is what is concerning, is that in 1987, when they rezoned it, that the fire department used to maintenance all that back there. And they used to maintenance those drains. And they included that buffer zone in with the acreage, with the property, and sold it off. And this is, if you read the minutes of the meeting, it says that people were, things were not kosher at that time.
But I mean, a buffer zone has to be zoned something,
Well,
doesn't it?
now it's zoned.
Yeah, it would be.
It
It
says
would- yeah.
buffer, but it has a C conservancy on it that was put on there back in, I guess, 1987, because Paul said it was a feel-good kind of thing. Well, a buffer zone is a buffer zone, and it's put in place to keep,
understand.
like, I'm looking right at the back of the building now, because all the trees have been removed, and the property's been bulldozed, or a bobcat's been brought in, and it's been cleared already. And now we are all looking, the people at adjacent properties are looking at that. The water is a huge problem. There's no place for the water to go. There's no vegetation back there to absorb the water. And that's the purpose of a buffer zone.
I might be able to help with the buffer zone.
Okay, please, because I'm lost.
Can I stand over here?
They're good.
So there's 3 zoning districts involved here.
That's correct.
There's a C2 zone, which is closest to Monroeville Boulevard. And then the back half of the property is an R2 zone. And then there is a 10-foot S Conservancy zone. And when this was rezoned, this whole block of properties, they called this 10-foot Conservancy zone a buffer. So it is not a separate piece of property, it is part of the dialysis clinic property. It's just a zoning district on top of their property. So there's 3 zoning districts, there's a C2, R2, and an S.
Okay, and you're saying the brown line is a buffer zone?
They call it a 10-foot conservancy buffer.
Will it remain?
Yes.
What is the purpose of
What's
that?
its purpose, yes?
Yeah, yeah.
Reading the minutes, there was a lot of controversy over this rezoning that the municipality did. It wasn't just this property, it was a large block of property. There was some farther down on Stroshine, some over in Garden City. The municipality did an update to the comprehensive plan where they rezoned large blocks of property. So the conservancy, it's just, they called it a 10-foot conservancy buffer zone because there was, the residents back here were concerned about a business coming in and building right up to their property line. So that's one of the reasons that the property is split zone, because this R2 creates a buffer between the existing residents and
Well,
any.
commercial buffer.
Correct, but it's actually R2, but they called it a buffer in the minutes at the meeting. They kept calling it a residential buffer.
But it still could be developed.
Yeah, somebody could build a house right there. Same thing with this S Conservancy zone. In the use table, there are permitted uses in the conservancy, just like the previous application, the Sri Shrati Temple. A lot of that property is S Conservancy. You can put a park there, you can put a school there, you can put a single-family home there. Now, you can't build on a 10-foot strip, it's not big enough to build anything, but it just created more of a buffer between the commercial and the residential.
One other
Go
question.
ahead. No, go ahead.
And I'm not getting on your case at all, I'm trying to educate myself.
Right.
Is anybody here, did I miss it? Where I've been here 7 years and 11 months, and I've never had anybody come up and complain about a water problem down there.
I didn't hear what he said.
Complaining about stormwater.
Yes, I've been complaining since 2018, and I've had the municipality out there several times. I had Jason
Okay, I don't ever
or
remember
Sean
coming.
I never
Sean
heard
Jesse
anything.
out there several years ago. He went in, looked at the cleanouts, and he said, "It might not be working properly, but it's between us and DCI. DCI refuses to respond or do anything about that. They have been out several times. The gentleman who moved in last spring didn't realize that he was gonna have a water problem, and last spring, when we had this heavy rain, he was floored, water was pouring out of the ground, so he had to, I said, contact the municipality said, it's not our responsibility, we don't maintenance that, we don't have anything to do with that, and I have dates and times all in this paperwork, you'll see, that.
And I can confirm
we
that
have-
the municipality has been aware of some sort of stormwater issues out here, and as Kim said, it's a private issue. It's a private system, it's private pipes, until it gets to Jamison Lane where it goes into municipal inlet. Then it becomes municipal problem.
Okay, so it hasn't been in front of council, but it has gone to administration.
Yes.
And when we approach DCI, we get no response from them.
Well, I got a question for maybe Paul or Paul, either Paul. On the acreage, now, there seems to be some differences now. She's saying.
Greg, according to the paperwork I just found, it points out that it is 2.776 acres.
That's correct. According to MS Consultants, when I did the subdivision, they caught that and brought it to my attention. The acreage is not correct according to the county. I recalculated everything. And what's on my drawing is correct. It's 2.98 acres. I think it's right, 2.7 and, 0.9897 acres is what it
It's
is.
2.77 acres at the
No,
county.
no, you can't go by the county, ma'am.
Well, the
because
first question
that's just-
is,
that's
are
an
we
estimate.
responsible for that or not?
They remapped it this week. It's
Well, it doesn't matter,
current.
it doesn't matter. They just do it as an estimate. It's not really an exact science what they did at the county, seriously. Unless it's written,
Well, wait a
unless it's written down.
I hear what you're saying, but I'm on our staff in the county
Yeah,
to tell me
yeah.
that.
Well, he's right here.
We've reviewed it, and if you go to the county website and you look at the tax maps, a lot of times the property lines go through a building.
Yeah, right.
They
No,
can-
I understand that, but this hasn't just started. Apparently, have you been to the county before this?
I've been to the county.
So,
But the county doesn't send a surveyor out. They use deeds from decades ago to get their acreages. They don't survey property.
Exactly.
So,
But the deed, the property that DCI purchased, their deed reads 2.77 acres, not a minute more, or not a yard more, or a yard less. And that was consistent with each purchase, from the fire department to the Greg, to TMB, to DCI. It's 2.77 acres, period.
and
Well, let's
that
let this
acreage-
The
gentleman
deed, that's what
rebuttal.
they're paying taxes on.
I'll
Mr. Terry,
give you your chance.
Mr. Terry, before you respond, I just want to ask you one thing. What are your professional
I'm a
qualifications?
land surveyor, but
Okay, you're a registered land surveyor in
Yes, I am.
Pennsylvania?
for 50 years.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
And I was gonna say was, the reason that deed might be more, because the original deed probably went to the center line of Monroeville Boulevard. Right now, we're at the right of way. So we're less. That's the reason why.
Did
That is the
you,
reason
did you perform a survey of the property
why.
in
I did
connection
it
with the
back in
subdivision?
2000 for dialysis clinic.
Okay,
And I
No,
did it-
I'm sorry, I
I
didn't hear
I did it for the dialysis clinic back in 2000. I surveyed that property. And I also surveyed the property next door to it too as well. And also surveyed a lot of property along Jameson
All right, so
Lane.
what's the difference in the sizes that we're
Well,
on?
we're talking about the piece of strip of land which is along Monroeville Boulevard, from the center line of the road to the actual right-of-way. The original deed goes to the center line of Monroeville Boulevard. But you gotta remember, when you do a site plan and there's a new subdivision, you take it to the right-of-way.
I guess what I'm asking is
That's why
when
it's
we
different.
blow away the foam, are you asking them that they have to fix this water problem first?
Well, DCI should be responsible for the water, but the
how can we
municipality is
get, the
consistently.
water seems to be a separate issue from the
Right.
size of the lots.
Right.
That's right.
Well, this
Right.
is why,
Yes.
Correct.
That's correct.
see, approving the subdivision perpetuates the problem. It puts another person between DCI and the water problem.
The question,
understand what I'm saying?
I understand you're trying to use leverage of one for the other. But the
No, I'm not trying to
question-
use leverage, it's a
Yes,
fact.
you are. The question becomes whether or not the subdivision meets the subdivision ordinance. If it meets the subdivision ordinance, it's a subdivision that the municipality has to pass. The water is a separate issue. The water is not part of the subdivision ordinance. It's a separate issue with a separate property owner. And so I think the only thing that needs to be resolved here are these differences with the size of the parcels with respect to the subdivision.
Well, that's correct. Subdivision is correct. That I can tell you. It's
Okay.
correct. I've checked
Well,
it.
and-
MS Consultant has checked it as well. And
Mayor,
it-
I have a question.
It adds up,
Let
completely.
him finish, Tom, I'll get.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, like I said, the original deed, back in whenever they first conception had this property, you understand what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Went to the center line of Monroeville Boulevard.
Right.
That strip of land across there adds up to that extra acreage you're talking about. What's on my plan here is exactly what's left out of that deed. Because you're going through a subdivision, you have to take it to the right of way now. You can't take it to the
Yes,
center of the
correct,
road.
correct.
So that goes away.
Okay.
But
So-
that was going away back in 2000 when he did the subdivision in the first place.
So separate and apart from that now, you're up here tonight about a water problem, which is you're up here about a water problem, which is a legitimate concern.
Well, no, I'm up here about the property owner at this time, and the subdivision is going to relieve them of any responsibility, possibly, because they don't do anything about it now. I don't see where they would do anything, and I'm disputing the size of the property. It is clearly incorrect. And maybe they should have a brand-new survey done. Somebody unrelated to the situation, have another survey done.
The municipality has to rely on the survey provided by a licensed surveyor, which Mr. Terrett has done. The only way to refute that is for another party to hire a surveyor to do their own survey. The municipality does not have a surveyor on staff. MS Consultants, we wouldn't send them out there to survey. It would cost thousands of dollars. So it would be up to the plaintiff, complainant, or somebody else to hire a surveyor to refute Mr. Terrett's
Well,
survey.
I guess what I'm getting at is, and I don't mean to make this sound like it's not an issue that we need to address, but as far as the size of the property goes, it doesn't sound like that's the problem. It sounds like the water's the problem.
Right.
The size of the property has a lot to do with the buffer zone. If it's not included in what they purchased, then they don't own it. If they don't own that piece, if the size of the property is incorrect, if the survey is wrong, and it is 2.77 acres, at what end does that come off? Where does it come off? If it's correct, if it is 2.77 acres. If it's 2.77 acres and it's at the buffer zone end, then they can't sell property that they don't own. They only own 2.77 acres. The deed says 2.77 on record at the county.
Also, you have to remember also, there's another subdivision before this one that was done before this one,
Okay.
which shows that this is the right acreage on my drawing. Because it was already approved by Monroeville back in 2000, when we first did the subdivision.
Was this brought up before the planning commission, any of these issues?
No, this came to light after the planning commission meeting.
Okay. So my question is this. I see some other residents that are here that live near this fine lady. And the biggest issue is, if you could address this, is how can we get onto that property and have that the drainage checked because of all the water issues that are causing for the local residents?
Myself and
No, that's all, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to this gentleman.
Well, I'm
Well,
just a surveyor, that's not me.
he has,
On DCI.
Well, no, Tom, how we thinking to do, we can table this item.
That's
and
what
make
I
that
wanna
an
do.
issue.
I make a motion, we table
Yeah,
this.
but I think he already did.
We can't do that today.
Not tonight.
This is just an
Okay.
agenda session.
All right.
We have a lot more to say.
Paul, I think, is going to say they already looked at it.
correct. Myself and engineering inspector have gone out to there. There's an underground, wait for them to bring this up. There's an underground gravel sump approximately in this area. There's a pipe that runs from a manhole and inlet, goes across to this inlet, down to an inlet. Private pipe goes across this property to the municipal inlet. The inspector and I went out there, we looked in this manhole, didn't see any issues. We can't look at the subterranean system, it's just a gravel a hole filled with gravel. We looked at this inlet, didn't see any blockages. There's 2 cleanouts on this pipe. We looked down in there, didn't see any blockages. There's water flowing out of the pipe into this inlet, and that was noticed by the technician from DEP as well. And then it flows down here into the public system. Now, in recent past, within the last couple of years, the property owner here, well, there was three property owners that were getting water. They had wet backyards. They have complained to Monroeville, and they were informed that it's a private system. Monroeville won't get involved with a private system. You guys have to work it out. I believe this fellow here did most of the work, but he rebuilt this inlet, he replaced some pipes, and it seems to have dried up a lot of the water problems. So when the engineering inspector and myself went out there, we didn't notice any problems. The man from DEP, we stood back here, and all of this area is recently disturbed. He didn't really see any problems either, although he didn't actually look in any pipes. He did have authority. He could have forced DCI to let us on the property.
Yeah, but they didn't, see, that's,
Well, he didn't, just from his field observation, he didn't feel it was a severe enough issue to push the issue. But he notified DCI. He said, I could get the state police. I could enter your property right now. I'm not going to push it because you requested us not to be on your property. And I don't know that he could have done anything different than what the engineering inspector and I did. He would have looked in those 2 cleanouts, not seen anything. He would have seen the grass field. You can't see the gravel underneath. It wasn't a really rainy day, so there was no ponding of water. It just looked like grass, a disturbed area, and some inlets. There was really nothing he could have.
Well, what about the water issue with all the residents?
As far as I know, since this resident here reconstructed things have gotten better.
And is the
Oh, that's
detention
one resident. There's,
Yes.
I don't know how many here, how many are here tonight? We got a lot with issues.
and all of you are having water issues?
Well, one of them's the applicant.
We're the property owners.
Doesn't nothing.
Yeah,
So is-
We're the ones that are buying the property.
okay.
Is the detention system?
But
The
the
other
water
issue-
issue doesn't
Hold on.
have anything to do with the rezone.
The other,
No.
That's correct.
That's sort of what I'm
now the
ask
other
for that.
issue,
No, the subdivision, not.
Hold on.
Subdivision.
can I,
Let me just ask one
Mr.
question, ma'am.
Coach is trying to say
Where-
something. Okay, go ahead.
sorry, too, and then come back to two. The question, man, is, again, we do want to link the 2 things between the zoning and the detention issue, but is what you looked at that had been obviously from these documents created a number of years ago in terms of water detention? Okay? The
Right.
question is that modern and adequate?
I would suspect it is.
I'm asking
Oh,
Paul,
him,
pardon me,
okay.
ma'am. I'm looking.
I'm not an expert, but I get water, so
It
I'm,
predates our current ordinance. There was an original gravel sump done prior to 2000. When DCI went in, their plan showed some improvements to it, but even that predates our ordinance. And that's why it wasn't on the MS4 inspection list, because it predates the MS4 requirements. So since it's come to the point it is, we've put it onto the MS4 inspection list, and it will be inspected at some point.
So
At
this
some
is more of
point.
a legal question for the solicitor. Then at that point, is there any way to upgrade, any way to ask the property owners to upgrade that to the upgraded standard?
No. No,
It
that-
is a
but if
crimp.
it's not functioning properly, that's another issue.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
But, Mr. Mayor, what I recommend here is we get anything additional from Mr. Terrett that he has to offer. And then obviously, there's a difference of opinion about the size of the parcels. We're gonna need some explanation of that, sufficient for council to act on this one way or the other on Tuesday night. So you can go and do that. In the meantime, anything that Ms. Cribden wants to say relative to the water problem, we can keep talking about.
well, the problem with this is still part of the subdivision. The part of the pond, the part of the retention, detention, water, stormwater management pond the pond is going to remain on their property, but the property they're selling, the drain and the swale, there's an easement that's gonna go through that property of the new owner, okay? So, how
Who
are
would
we
be
to go, what do we go to
responsible?
him, if we go to?
Yeah, who would
is
be
he gonna
responsible, Paul?
Pardon me?
I'm trying to figure out from what she's saying, who would then be responsible?
Still
Right,
DCI.
who-
So it'd still be DCI?
Correct.
So they have the detention pond on their property. If they subdivide, this person goes to build, they're not gonna be responsible to upgrade anything to
Paul,
fix the problem.
would our MS4 regulations come in here?
Not unless something's built on the property.
That's kind of what I was asking too, Paul.
I mean, there's
If
nothing,
that
there's not gonna
predates
be
our-
anything in writing from DCI that they're gonna accept responsibility.
Paul, can we request that the government, instead of not recommending, or they said that they had the legal right to go forward and check this pond. Is that correct?
Well,
Can we request them to continue with that?
DEP is not gonna get involved with a stormwater issue.
Yeah. It's our order.
He made that clear when he came out to
Well,
visit.
you said that he thought he could.
Well, he did that as a courtesy because I asked him to come out to look at the
Well, I
site.
understand that, but
Oh,
is
wait,
there
you didn't ask him to come out, I asked him to come out. Wait a minute. I put
Yes,
the
I did.
call,
Can you let me
He was
finish,
not gonna come out
ma'am?
until I asked him. I can get the email for you. The response from DEP was, this is a
Please,
municipal
everybody in the
matter.
audience, let this happen up here, please.
Let, the municipality should handle it. I explained to the DEP officer that I've tried to explain it to the residents and was not getting the point across, and I asked him to come out to look at it, and he agreed to come out as a courtesy, but DEP does not get involved with stormwater issues. If there was an erosion control issue, if there was a wetland being disturbed or a creek being impacted, yes, they would have gotten involved. If there was a gasoline spill, they would have gotten involved, but stormwater, they don't get involved with.
Mr. Weldon, have you had any conversations with the owners of the DCI as to what their stance is on doing any kind of upgrades, repairs?
The morning we met out there with Ms. Krivda, DEP, myself, we talked to DCI briefly. We recommended that they camera the system to prove that there's no blockages, that the pipes aren't collapsed or clogged. They said they would do that.
Do we have anything in writing?
No, we can't really force them to do that.
I know that, that's why I'm asking, do we have any kind of communication between Monroeville, DCI, that would,
and when I have spoken to DCI, when she would answer my call, she said.
Who is she?
She's a property management person down in Nashville, that's where their home office is based. She said that the municipality, and I have it on an email from her, is responsible for everything that's going on. They are taking care of everything, but that doesn't make me feel good.
All right.
Because they're telling me they don't have any
We got two.
jurisdiction.
Why
over it.
don't we do this? Why don't we contact DCI and let's get the issue of their,
The
whether or
dialogue
not
of it.
their water detention system is functioning or not functioning. And that will lead to the resolution, I think, of the main problem here. And in the meantime, you can present whatever you're gonna present relative to the sizes of the lots or whatever. I do see it as two separate issues. That doesn't mean your issue with regard to the stormwater and that of your neighbors is not legitimate, it is. So we will contact DCI and we will get some response out of them to get them to give us some certification from an engineer that their system's either working or it isn't working.
And also, you brought it up earlier, let's get the size of the property correct too.
No, that's, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
that's-
correct, I know it's correct.
Well,
I'm not saying it is, I'm saying it isn't.
I think
I'm
if-
hearing
You're
that
you're
she's
going
saying
from a
it.
2020 survey plan. The people are asking that you give a more current one because she's not sure if you're taking it from the center of Monroeville Boulevard in or if it's
No,
coming
it's-
from the backside
no,
out.
it is
I
correct.
understand what she's asking.
Mr. Tarrant, what I think you need to
I
do
understand.
is get your documents together, do a little addition and stuff, so you can show the council on Tuesday, this is the correct size,
Okay.
okay? And in the meantime, we'll follow up with DCI.
And then we can come back to this whole matter.
Pardon me?
Then we can revisit this whole matter.
Right,
Yeah,
and
'cause
I
we-
will obtain the map, this one is certified from the county, this was our plan, when it.
Did you
it was-
provide
need the
us,
current one.
did you
Well,
provide us
No,
with
this is the plan, I'm just
DCI's
saying, what's that?
Did you provide us with the email that you had from DCI?
I did not, their email?
Yeah, the one you say you had an email from the lady down
Oh,
in
yeah,
Nashville?
I did not put it in there, though.
Okay.
I mean, it's not that, if you call the.
No, I'm not gonna call them.
No,
I
no,
just
I
wanted
mean-
to know if you
I
had
mean, I
the
can supply
conversation,
you.
the email
I
that
can
you
supply
had
you the
that
email. I
said
have her
that,
email. It's on my phone. I'll give it to you before I leave, actually.
yeah, just so that we can see what was said between the two of you at least,
Sure.
you know, there's some,
Her name is Pam Scarelli, and it's just as, I'll provide it to somebody before I leave.
Provide it.
Okay.
yeah,
Okay,
okay.
let's all do our homework
Do you
and
want this, or
By,
don't you?
by Tuesday,
Yes.
you're saying, right?
Thank you.
Tuesday,
Yes.
yes.
Set the
Yeah,
share.
here.
This
Yeah.
is just.
Tuesday's the voting meeting.
Plan it.
Feel free to
That's
call me
fine.
if you have any questions
Okay.
you want to talk about.
Yeah,
That's
good.
good.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
We can talk about it tomorrow.
Okay. All right, sounds good, thanks.
All right, moving along.
I'd like to say something. I was gonna say, there's additional people in the audience that may want to speak.
I do.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Nina Berdell-Vecchio. I'm at 151 Jameson Lane. Hello, everybody. Couple things that I want to tell you about. This whole storm drain issue on the DCI property is also coming across the street and hitting us. It's raising our roads. My property on this side is a swamp, which you were there, Paul. And my other property on this side, she has 2 leach beds put in where she has 3 months after she moved in, which she would be here, but she is out of town. She's put about $50,000 into her property because of flooding. We all have sub pumps. Across the street, we have 1, she has 3 on the right of us. And she has a new one that goes uphill now because her driveway goes down. I don't know if a lot of you guys know my background, but my background is in politics too, government agency. Mr. Yurchenko helped me be one of the authors of a zoning, mapping, and planning, and a comprehensive plan that I appreciate what he did for me when I started politics. This is my game too. I chose Monroeville to live here. I chose. I left a town that I was 3rd generation in North Braddock. I did everything possible to make that town right. And when I left, they were doing great. I came here expecting the municipality to be very on top of things and accountable. By the documents that I have read, also with Mrs. Krivda, it shocks me what has happened in the last 20 years. Not the last 8 or 10 years. It was prior to this. I hope that your integrity and your skill, even though you are leaving and Greg is leaving and Tom is leaving, that it'll keep on and you will feel that the residents do have a say-so when shoddy stuff has been done through the years. I know that we've all been there. Every town has had their black shadows, shall I say. But let's make it right. Because next, who knows, if this has happened with our street, how many other properties has this happened to in Monroeville? How many other residents are getting flooded and haven't called? But they've put 3 sub pumps in. They've done leach beds, 5. You know, you really got to get that comprehensive plan too, guys. Yous have been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. How many years now are you on it? I'll volunteer to help. I've done it. I think that, yeah, but it's 4 years.
You're talking about the zoning ordinance.
Yeah, the zoning and the
comprehensive.
yeah, but the zoning. I think that truly in my heart, everything is here that will make us all move forward. But this is not good
But you
at
brought
all.
one point up, and I'm gonna ask Paul, is there damage created by this runoff on their street?
I might have a map. I'll see if I can explain without a map. I did look across Jameson Lane.
Yeah.
Can I borrow your-
You're on our camera, so I know you were there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so this is the backyards. There's Jameson Lane loops around this way.
That's correct.
Yep, you have a loop around? Maybe this will, we might have a better picture here. Okay,
That's just way
to
down.
orient it the
Like
same
that,
way, it's
yeah,
like
there you go.
this.
So that's the dialysis clinic there.
So
in
this
front.
is Miss Krivda's house,
And then
and
that's,
you're over
this
here?
is the subdivision.
Yeah.
portion.
Mr. Mayor,
What are they gonna
there's
do?
also pictures in the back of that information packet.
So the,
Shows what he's got.
the,
Right.
one of the days I was out there, the neighbors told me about water coming across Jameson Lane. So I went and looked at these properties, and I think some of the wetness over here is created by these two homes themselves. In the curb along Jameson Lane, there's a depression that looks like a roof drain pipe used to come out onto Jameson Lane to discharge roof water. And there is a downspout on this corner of the house, and it's straight out from that, but you can no longer see a pipe. So I'm thinking over the decades, that pipe has been crushed, covered, and is plugged up, but the water is still coming through there, and it's creating a wet spot. The house up above it has a sump pump that discharges behind the curb, so every time water comes out of that pipe, it comes behind the curb and works its way down to here. So I think a lot of the water problem over here is created by the two homes themselves. When I was out on site with the man from DEP, we stood in Miss Krivda's backyard. There's a shed here now, and when you look up the hill, Mr. Terrett has it added on the plan here. These red arrows indicate surface water flow. There is a little rise, a little hump in between these properties. So any surface water from here is going to hit that and go this way. I believe the water in Miss Krivda's backyard is actually coming from these backyards. If you stand here and look up, it's just a grass field that goes uphill and funnels everything down to Miss Krivda's shed.
Is that what, Hemlock? The cul-de-sac?
That's Hemlock.
Yeah, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Paul, where's the, on that drawing, if you can point it out, where is the inlet that the DCI system is attached to the municipal inlet?
Okay, there's a private inlet here. There's a pipe that goes down here to the municipal inlet.
Okay.
There's also an underground pipe that goes to an inlet here, and then this is where the underground gravel sump is.
Okay.
And also, Paul, you can stand here because I have a couple questions for you too. Also, there is mines. We are all on mines here except Mellon Plan. I pulled the maps. We're on about 98.7% on top of mines. That's why we all have mine subsidence insurance. Are you aware of that?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure, because you said you didn't think that we were on mines. Now, we have an open mine that's behind us on Donna Court? Is that Donna Court behind us?
Yes. Yeah.
The green water's coming out, you're aware of that now. So you have to start checking that, the municipality, correct?
I would think that
Yeah.
would be,
So we
Paul,
have
no?
mines that are
Yes, no?
still here.
We don't do anything with mine drainage.
Okay, then we'll call the DEP again and have them visit our beautiful municipality. There's green stuff coming out, but my question was that he made in a quote that we don't have any mines here. We have mines. So thank you very much. Little aggravated today, guys. I'm usually a bit easier. Linda, thank you for everything. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Greg, you know where I'm at. You too, boss. Good luck.
Kim, you wanted to say
Thanks,
something
everybody.
else? I'll leave the floor open.
Just one more thing. Just keep in mind that when they talk about that stormwater management thing, the water isn't just coming from their property, it's coming from Monroeville Boulevard. It takes on the water, like there's two drains that come down, that I guess you can see on his diagram, that comes from Monroeville. You know how much water Monroeville Boulevard gets? We're not talking about a little bit, like in a heavy storm. And yes, they looked at the property, they looked down those drains, but they didn't do it at a peak time. They didn't do it when there was a heavy rainfall. And a heavy rainfall in the spring and in the fall, it's disastrous to people. Like, it really is. So the water's not just coming from this hill or this or whatever. It's coming from the highway. It's a pond that's probably substandard at best, and it affects our properties. You know,
Well, again, Kim, I think the way Mr. Ratcher described, I think that we're gonna address your issue with
Right.
DCI.
If we didn't do this subdivision, the water situation wouldn't change,
Wait, I'm
correct?
sorry again.
You're
You have
right.
to talk louder, Ron.
If we didn't do this subdivision,
Right,
the water situation would not change, correct? It would still be what it is.
right. But it perpetuates then you're dealing with two different people. You know, like you're dealing with people who purchase the property, which I'm not disputing. If somebody wants to buy property, that's all well and good. But it just creates a bigger problem. And the fact that in that zone, he removed, like, he did a lot of excavating because he wants to plant grass, but it took out a lot of trees and a lot of, vegetation that soaks up the water. When you take away, what happens? You have mud, you could look in the drain today and it's full of mud, which, we haven't had a big rain, but early on when I lived there, when it was functioning properly, it would rush through there. I could hear it on my porch when it sounded like a waterfall, like a rapid, and you'd go over there and be flowing there, and then it would go right into there's two drains, one there, one on the property, one of 160. And it goes there to the store. But like I'm saying, it's not just taking on water from like a downspout or this, it's taking on water from the highway. So if it's not working properly, they need to update their system. And
I agree.
If we can't fight them, if I can't go to them and they are non-responsive, but their answers to me is, you need to go to the municipality. The municipality tells me they don't have anything to do with it. And then they tell me that Mr. Nason, they're dealing with him. I don't know, he hasn't bought the property yet, and God bless him when he does, but somebody has to be responsible.
We get
I
it.
think we're gonna start that, at least we're gonna start to contact DCI.
With DCI.
Let's start somewhere, and this is the beginning of the
Sure.
start.
I
So,
appreciate that.
We are
Thank you.
hearing you, understand that we are hearing you,
Right.
and we will try to do what.
Very clearly, because I wouldn't want the water in my
Now,
yard. I don't think
can I
anybody
ask a
else
quick question on this subdivision? What exactly are we subdividing for? What do they wanna do, build a couple homes? What
There's not a
what is
plan.
going
We
on?
want-
here?
come on.
Because, there's a spew of lies going on here.
Yeah, so I
Please,
haven't gotten that answer
slow
on
down,
any of this
slow
yet.
down, everybody.
All right.
Sign in and state your name for the record, please.
All right. My name is Ken Nason, and I live at 162 Jameson Lane. I've lived there for 50 years. And the next door neighbor that she's talking about next to me, actually is pretty happy about the situation and us buying it.
Hang on, let her
If she's
sign
gonna
in,
speak,
and
she
then
needs to also
please
state
your
her
name
name.
for the record, also, please.
My name is Becky Nason. I'm at 162 Jameson Lane.
Please proceed, sir.
Okay, so we came to the planning commission.
Come a little
Came to
closer
the
so we
planning
can-
commission meeting last week. They approved it in regards to any cleanup, if that's what you want to call it. When she's sitting there saying, we cut down trees and all this kind of stuff, it's actually untrue. There was two big trees that fell back in May. One of them we had cut up and removed, the other one was laying there. We ended up cutting up some of the other bushes that were close to hitting my neighbor's fence. The one little set of sumac trees there. The guy actually piled it up in the sewer line area, along that whole stretch where the cleanouts are. So part of the conditions last week, or a few weeks ago with the planning commission, is that we would have it cleaned up and have that sewer line area completely cleared out so that it had to be accessible. So all we did was have them come out, pull all the logs out and all the tree branches and everything else along those lines. We have pictures of it, strawed it over like we were asked to
Would
do.
you like to submit that for part of the record?
Sure.
If you'll give that
Here,
to.
just hand it to me.
So we went and spent a couple $1,000 and cleared out the whole area exactly like we were asked to do. We did that. Now there's a complaint that we cleared out the sewer line area, which needs to be accessible. In the agreement with this whole buying or getting the subdivision and adding that property to our backyard, which is essentially all it's going to be, DCI we put it in the 10-foot easement so that they could take care of the sewer line. You know, whether it's 5 years from now, 10 years from now, they have that easement. They can come in and clean it out whenever it needs cleaned out.
I'm not understanding why that has anything to do with us buying the property. It's still an easement. If there's an issue with DCI and the water line, then they have the easement to get on there and do what they need to do.
So, I mean, from the very beginning of us even discussing buying this property, there's basically been a personal vendetta to stop it. And someone has used their position to do that. I got a million texts, you know, blowing up my phone and everything else, not me, other neighbors. It's just been a constant, anything we can do, any which way we can do to try to stop it.
Let me interrupt
I
you.
still
This is for
I haven't gotten the answer at all, still, as to what exactly is gonna happen with the property.
We're just adding it as our
It's gonna be part of our
backyard.
backyard.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
gonna
you're
fence,
buying
we're gonna
property.
We're not
fence, we're
building,
gonna,
we're gonna fence it, but we're
backyard.
not building
Is that-
anything on
we're
it.
not building anything on
You're
it.
just buying property, to make
Yes.
it larger
Backyard.
backyard.
Okay,
Okay.
for council's edification, and if you'll please bear with me, and this is, condition on approval of the subdivision. Applicant agrees to remove debris, including but not limited to dead trees, logs, branches, brush, pallets, building material, etc., located within the emergency spillway shown on the Stormwater Management Plan SW1 dated 2/02/01 of 01, attached by March 15th, 2022. The municipality will not sign the subdivision plan until the debris has been removed. So you did what you were
Within
told.
1 week.
Within 1 week, this is the before.
We went out,
and
spent the money, got it taken care of.
I just wanted to get that part of the record. I mean, I
And
know
I
it's
passed
in
your
our
picture
packet,
down so
but
that
I wanted
everybody
the
could
public
see
to
it,
hear it as
just-
well.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Matter of fact, my next door neighbor tomorrow wants to put stone around his fence. I'm letting him go right up through my backyard to do so.
And Jared, if you can zoom in on this. This, it's a little blurry. I have copies as well. This is what it looked like before the planning commission meeting, and we had asked, the conditions to remove the
Right.
pallets and the brush. And upon, secondary inspection, you can see that material has been removed as required by the conditions of approval from planning commission.
So really, our issue seems to be lying with DCI.
Right.
Right, so
Yeah,
therefore,
I
in
don't
my
understand-
opinion,
I mean,
the
that's what I'm,
I don't understand what the issue of us buying the
well,
property
you're
has
there,
anything to do.
that's,
Right,
No,
but
but
there's
Right.
an easement,
But
they
the-
have to take care of it,
but
it's
but
DCI.
they're asking that the easement is proved that it's not taken from the survey, that it, you know, it did come from the middle of Monroeville Boulevard that way, and not from the easement, therefore taking
and
the
it-
responsibility off of DCI, and then it would have been put onto you.
Right.
That's pretty much, I hear what the residents are saying. Is that am I correct or am I misunderstanding?
No, you're right on.
I am right on that. Okay,
you are
so
right.
really, they are almost doing you a favor by verifying this information, number one.
Right, but I just heard that they're gonna table all of this, and I just
No,
don't
no,
see how
we-
those
we're
two.
not,
We
Okay.
can't, first of all, we can't table tonight. This is not a
Okay.
voting meeting.
Right.
Second of all, we need to make sure that everybody has the correct facts before we make any
Right.
decision, because we want to do what's right for everybody.
Right.
And if it is, as Mr. Ratcher said, it could be two separate issues.
Issues,
We
right.
are asking our people to reach out to DCI, which in the long run, you should be very happy.
I
that we
am, that's
wanna
why
get
we
that
said we
taken
don't,
care
we
of
just
as
didn't
well.
understand what that
But
has
the-
to do with as a whole.
I guess the question I
so-
have in regards to that is, let's just say, you know, I trust him that what he did, survey-wise is
Okay.
correct. There's a 10-foot easement along the sewer line, regardless of
who-
how that
who
property,
owns it?
how that property comes along. Because that 10-foot easement surrounds that exact sewer line. I mean, they
Well,
own all the
if there's a
property
difference
now.
in the acreage, is there any chance that they could become the owners of that storm sewer?
No.
And I'm sorry, you're
So
162.
if we can go back to this plan,
I'm looking at
Jared,
Google Earth,
can you zoom in on this area?
correct?
Put down.
Okay, that's good, thank you.
go ahead, Paul.
So the existing underground system is here, which will remain on DCI's property,
No matter what,
no matter what.
okay?
The portion that the Nasons want to purchase is this triangle here, and that's where the pipe goes across, And that pipe is inside of a 10-foot easement, which will remain DCI's responsibility in
Well, then,
perpetuity.
see, that, now I understand how clear
Yeah.
now.
Right.
So, so my argument to the whole trying to stop the subdivision is, for what? I mean, they're always gonna have that
Land
easement.
subject to DCI's easement, you couldn't do anything about that if you wanted to.
Right.
It's an
Right.
existing easement.
Right.
Correct.
Your
Right.
deed's gonna say that you take subject to all easements of record. I'm assuming it's of record.
No, it's not.
It isn't?
No, it's because
Okay.
it's on our whole property. Once
Oh.
we record this plan.
It's part of the subdivision, but it didn't exist prior
It'll
to.
be on the
It'll
subdivision.
be on the
correct.
subdivision, then the easement will come by
Gotcha,
record.
okay,
Much more clear.
okay, thank you.
It really, this
I-
strip in here doesn't really help change anything as far as area, because it could be, it's in this part up here.
Mrs. Neesing, please go ahead. You wanted to say
So
something?
it's just, I'm kinda going back to his buffer question here, so they're saying like this is supposed to be a buffer, does that have anything to do with once we own it? Is there still a buffer or right of way of anybody else on the property or anything like that, how does that?
Well,
buffer-
it'll still be a designated buffer, which means you
Okay.
really can't do anything with it.
Well,
But
we're not
it's
anyway,
there.
For
but
my-
as
It's
far
like the
as
easement in a
people
lot of
entering the
ways.
property,
For my discussion with Paul,
that's my question.
if I wanted to put up a fence surrounding our property, that does not, that buffer does not affect that. From
That's what
according
Paul
to,
told you, I agree.
yes, if I wanted to plant trees along there, it doesn't affect that. He says, because there's still residential
Right.
property and everything you would do residential-wise, even in that buffer zone, it doesn't
Vegetation
change
there would
anything.
actually be welcome in a buffer area.
Say that again?
Vegetation like
Well, yeah,
trees
I mean,
and bushes
Right,
in a
right.
buffer
We're
area
not
would actually
clearing
be
the whole
welcome.
thing. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no need to.
No,
So, I mean, this, I don't really understand what the real issue is with us buying the property.
We're good.
Yeah.
I think,
Two
I think
separate
it's more the
We've got
water.
two issues we're
I
gonna.
Right,
think
which
I
is a
truly-
separate
I truly
issue.
do, and I think that people are getting clearer and clearer about the,
the
What
real
we're looking
issue of what they're
So,
worried about,
let
yes.
us just kind of move forward and we'll,
Okay,
Yeah.
I think
you
everybody
have to
kind of has
understand,
their
we have to
marching
get all
orders
to the
for
bottom.
That's fine.
well, yeah, yeah,
And I think that I know I'm very clear.
okay,
Thank you.
good,
Uh-huh.
okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Anybody else would like to address? Come on up. Please sign
It
in.
hasn't already been said.
I'm signing
Yeah,
in. My
right,
name's
right.
Carmen Vecchio, 151 Jameson Lane. I have two questions. If you could leave us here for 1 minute, I appreciate it, sir. The only issue I have is the planning commission approved this at 3.1 acres. You surveyed this, what'd you say, 2010?
2,000.
2000?
Doesn't
Does
say-
any documents that you survey go to the county? That the county has had the same documents?
Well, like I said before, what the county has on record is the original deed, which probably makes it all the way to
But
the.
if
center.
you resurveyed it, they would have your current existing.
They wouldn't have it. They would have it. Am I right?
No,
They would not have it. They would not have that.
Okay.
So when I do my next document, it's gonna show the original deed out to the center of the road, and that calculation will validate what
Okay,
I'm just talking
well, that'll
about.
help explain it.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, whatever. Second question. No, on the west side of this property and the south side, no, Paul, maybe you can answer this. The property's elevated. Are they gonna have to be required to put some type of vegetation since this water will fall down on these people's property on, I guess this would be the west side of the property, this will be the south side?
What was the question?
Since this whole property is elevated from these people on this side and this side,
What about?
are they gonna have to put some type of vegetation to keep the water runoff? I'm not even talking about this pipe. I'm just talking about water runoff itself.
No, not, just like any other resident, they're not required to put up any kind of vegetation on their property.
So we can run water on other people's property then.
Well, that's, you asked about putting trees.
I just said vegetation. I didn't say trees. That could be
They're
anything.
not required to put any vegetation.
All right, but like I said, the property's elevated.
it's only
It's been
changing
elevated
names is what I'm
forever.
getting though,
Yeah,
so there's no change of use, there's no structures being placed on the property to require anybody to have to upgrade that piece.
Right, but
Am I
what if-
correct or not, Mr. Weldon?
Correct.
So what Carm's bringing up is, and maybe I'm losing my mind, but I thought that, and it would be a private issue and not a municipal issue. I didn't think we were allowed to run water on, my water can't run on my neighbor's property.
The way it
Wouldn't that
works-
be a
That's the way I
private
always
issue
thought
then?
you couldn't
Wait.
divert water.
The way it works is the superior property has rights over the lower property. Water flows downhill.
That's correct.
You can't pipe it to the property line and dump it on your neighbor's property, but your yard, if it flows downhill, it flows downhill. It's the people
Okay,
down
that-
below's
it's
It's called
responsibility.
the natural water course.
Okay.
If you try to pipe it or divert it into a, condense the volume, then you do have a responsibility to your neighbor below you.
That answers my question.
So let me ask this board one question. For Tuesday night, okay, so we have a clearing, of the number. The planning commission approved this for the 3.18. Now, if you come back and you find that the 2.77 is the correct acreage or whatever it is, so where do we go from there?
Well,
Does the
council
planning
can
commission's-
approve it or deny it. The planning commission gave a recommendation for council to approve it. They're only a recommending body. So what they told council has no force of law. Council has the choice to either go along with it or to say, no, we don't think that's correct. We're gonna make a different decision.
And we believe in the description that 3.18 acres was simply a typographical error. It didn't come from anywhere, is that correct? That's correct. It was just a typographical error.
From us?
No, from the original, when I wrote the description, I got my information from the original plan that was submitted. And I wrote down 3.18 in the description. And then as our MS consultants, the municipal engineer reviewed the plan, they said, hey, look, your numbers don't add up, there's something wrong here. We relayed that to Mr. Terrett, he looked at it and said, oh yeah, that's a bogus number. Put the right numbers in, he recalculated everything, and that's where the numbers came from. That 3.18 was just a random error.
Well, oftentimes deeds recite the wrong numbers.
Sure,
And then the
yeah.
next party in the transaction, when it's sold to somebody else, they take the prior deed, they copy that description. So if there's a mistake, there can be mistakes out there that are 100 years old. And everybody, because they don't go out and survey it, they just keep repeating the mistake. Because they think that deed is
The
in
prior
fact
deed was-
correct, and
right,
it's,
yeah.
maybe somebody typed it the wrong way or whatever, and nobody caught it.
So is this gonna get resurveyed so the deed would be correct?
Well,
It would-
he has done a survey on the
Yes.
property. What I think I would like to see him do for council is explain why there is a variance between the numbers that Ms. Kribda talked about and what he's talking about. And the explanation that he's offering, although not verified yet, we haven't seen the arithmetic, it sounds like that's because of the fact that in the old days, the legal descriptions went to the center line of the roadway, and they don't do that anymore. And so oftentimes you have these differences because of the fact that the way it's done nowadays is different than the way it was done many years ago.
And also be clear, we're agreeing, at least we are up here, they are two separate issues. You certainly have the water issues, there's nobody gonna deny that.
Right, and they touched on that, and like I said, my question was the difference in numbers from planning commission presenting it to you with supposedly, possibly a different figure for the.
Yeah, but if it gets corrected, then that's one thing, and we're going to chase that down.
That happens from time to time too. Somebody will come up here, will have an incorrect measurement on a building. They'll say, this building's gonna be 4,900 square feet. We discover that it's 5,100 square feet. Council has the discretion to say, okay, fine, we're okay with the 5,100 square feet as long as it meets all the other requirements or whatever. It was basically a clerical mistake that somebody made.
Well, knowing that, MS Associates caught that way in the beginning, and I fixed it. That's after he already made this.
Okay.
So we went to planning commission with the correct drawing and the correct numbers, not what his numbers he said he had on his paper. That could be a mistake, but the planning commission saw the correct numbers.
Well, we have a little homework to do.
Yeah.
That isn't much.
And let's get that done.
think
and
everybody
then
has
obviously,
some
please
homework.
That's why I
guys
say,
need
we
to
have a
go
lot of issues, not just one, and to rush into this right now,
I think it's more the water issue for the residents than it is the parcel being sold.
And I agree with
Provided.
what
I
they
think, I
just said.
truly believe that from what I'm hearing from all of you. And we're gonna get started from our side on that.
Yeah, it's not gonna go way up here, okay? There are water issues, okay?
Thank you.
She does it.
Thank you. Anybody else would like to address?
No, I just want to give her the email.
Thank you.
You guys, this is the water that I get several times.
You don't, you need your motion receipt.
Okay, thank you
Oh,
all.
no, I don't want my Lowe's receipt, sorry. That's all I had to write
Just
on.
making sure.
Thank you. Okay,
I got all your stuff.
okay.
Let's see if we can
All
get
right,
another
council,
easy
we're
one.
gonna move on.
Let's get an easy one.
Tim, if you, oh, you wanna say something else?
No, not at this point, I just,
We'll see you
Have a
guys
good weekend.
Tuesday.
Keep looking at
We'll see you Tuesday?
You'll be here Tuesday, right?
I'll be here.
Okay.
Thank you.
I should be. Yeah, my only other thing is like, again, like that water line is there, but
We get it.
comes from all the hills on the houses too, so.
We get it,
it's
we get it.
just
Tim, if you
runs
would.
downhill. Thank you.
Item number 4 is 21-6C Hutton Monroeville Old Abers, PA, LLC. Applicants requesting conditional use approval pursuant to section 401 of the Monroeville zoning ordinance 1443 as amended to construct a car wash. Property is located at 1761 Golden Mile Highway and known as parcel ID 1242N130 in the C2 Business Commercial District. This is a conditional use in a public hearing. Planning
there-
Commission recommends approval.
Anybody come, okay, for the applicant, please. I assume you're both gonna testify?
Yes,
So please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Proceed, gentlemen.
My name is Donald Graham. I'm legal counsel for the applicant. Before I turn it over to Mark Zimmerman for the plan itself, I just wanted to make sure that part of the public record is the application. Tim, it's nice to see you again after a
Same here,
lot of
Don.
years. Just want to make sure that the application that was submitted for this is part of the record. The preliminary and final land development plans prepared by Norris Knowles and Associates dated October of 2021. The site plan that Mr. Zimmerman is going to reference, the lighting plan, the building elevations, the traffic analysis by Wooster and Associates, and the zoning hearing board decision that granted us 3 variances on this particular project, and the planning commission recommendation for approval. With that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Zimmerman to present it.
Sir,
Hi.
Hi, Mark Zimmerman from Morris Knowles and Associates, the site civil engineer on the project. If we can zoom in on the drawing, perfect, thank you.
if you can talk a little bit louder, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. So first thing I'll do is just take you through the site, let you know how this car wash works. It's an express
Can
conveyor.
you tell me where 286 is? I just want to be familiarized where, okay. it's
Absolutely.
Right
Gold
there.
Mile Highway's down here.
Thank you.
Old Abers Creek up there with the Aldi right across
I
the
just want to make
street.
sure I'm following correctly, so.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely.
I can't read it.
So this is an express style conveyor car wash. Pretty popular now. You'll see most of the new ones are this style of car wash. The patrons from the Golden Mile Highway down in this area will enter the car wash into here. There'll be a couple employee parking stalls here along the right side. A bug prep space area. This is where a patron can get out of their car. They'll have a tub with a scrub brush. You can get out of your car. It's a self-service in that area where you scrub the front of your car to get the bugs off to kind of help with the overall experience of cleaning your car. Once done with that, you can go into the pay kiosks that are located at the rear of the site in this area. There'll be 3 pay kiosks here. There'll be an employee attendant there at all times. It's a cashless system, and they want to get you through the site as much as possible. There is a VIP membership lane at the top. That is where you can buy a monthly membership. There's license plate readers here. As you go through with a membership, it'll read your license plate and just pass you on through. Once through the pay kiosk, you'll circle around and get into the car wash in this location. There'll be another employee located here to help you get onto the conveyor, line up your wheel, those types of things. Once on the conveyor, you'll come through the car wash and exit on this side of the tunnel. At this location, a patron can choose to make a left to go back out to Old Abers Creek Road. That was a suggestion and a very good one by the Planning Commission. Yeah, helps out with safety and all kinds of things there. If you'd like to continue on, you can make a right into the free vacuum area. Here they'll have, you see them, a double boom vacuum, free, included with your car wash payment. Once done with the car wash, once done with the vacuum, you can exit back out onto Golden Mile Highway. We have gone through several of the comments with staff. We are, I believe, in good shape with those. One thing we need to address yet is stormwater, but infiltration testing needs to be completed, but we're confident we'll be able to meet all conditions at this point.
Well, how many cars can you stack, if you?
That was a good question.
There's because the way this style of car wash works, you can fit a couple into the tunnel. So once you're loaded in, every 25 to 30 feet, they'll put a new car in after you. So it's generally a 2-minute transaction from this point to get to the end of the car wash.
If you've
So-
got a lot of customers, you have a stacking lane there? So
Yes, yeah. The stacking will be from essentially the front of the car wash back into all 3 pay kiosks and back into this area. So we estimate, I think there's 29 to 30 cars
Wow,
that
that's
can
a lot.
stack there.
Oh, that's good.
And then it's a continuous
It's
cycle. It's not
movement.
like a Dunkin' Donuts where you're
Right.
waiting for your order. It's just, you
Is
just
this
go.
a right turn only out of the, so that you can't try and make a left out onto 286?
No, they're full access at this point. From the initial discussions with PennDOT, they believe we'll have full access
Well,
there.
every
since it's-
business along 286 has the same.
Has the same, there's no barriers or anything? I don't remember.
No,
where
there's
the-
a, there's a
turn
center
lane there.
turn lane here in the
Okay.
middle as
There's
part of the
a
upgrades that were
suicide
done
lane.
there.
Suicide-
Yeah,
Well-
I don't like to call it that, but yeah.
No, but I like that you did, I like that you have the back entrance already on the plan.
Yeah,
That-
thank you,
that-
yes.
That
What's
is-
currently located on the property right now?
It's a former Remax real estate office.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The CVS is located on this side and Monroe Auto and Tire
I'm
Center's
looking at the
on this
Google Earth
side.
version of it, CVS one side and Monroe Auto Tires.
Yes, yep, that's correct.
I have a question, I mean, you know, between storage sheds, mattress stores, and now car washers are popping up like bad weeds everywhere. I mean, has there been some kind of marketing study done across the country where all of a sudden senior citizens, because that's the biggest cohort increasing in this country, that be getting their cars washed?
I'm one of
They asked
them.
me to design
So
it.
am I.
I designed it. I'm not sure, but I assume so.
Apparently, the deal with those is, I have a client that's a car wash guy.
Okay,
When you sell these memberships that you can go every day if you want.
right,
Yeah.
right.
And the deal is you sell the memberships and just sit back and carry the
Yeah,
cash.
car washes are lucrative. I knew somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody
So do we.
20 years ago.
Yeah,
And you just sit there and
we
collect.
know a fire department that
Yeah,
tries to
right,
make a little
right.
money off their car wash.
I forgot, that's right, I forgot
Oh,
about
there you
that.
go.
I forgot about that one.
Try to help
But
you out.
all of a sudden, Wilkins
Trying to
has
save you,
mod
Tim.
wash
We
and,
forgot
That's what this will be.
oh, this is gonna be a mod. Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
all right, all right.
Well, let's get back to council. Any other questions or comments for these gentlemen?
Your hours of operation?
8 to 8.
Okay, perfect.
Ron, Tom, Steve, any questions?
I'm good.
Got enough.
Thank you.
Gentlemen.
Great,
All right,
thank you.
thank you.
See you Tuesday.
Thank you.
Tim, if you would.
Well, the next one is the same with applicants requesting site plan approval to construct a car wash. It's the,
Right, okay,
I mean,
then let's go over the motion.
motions, okay. A motion to authorize to advertise an ordinance amending ordinance number 2717, appointing Timothy J. Little as municipal manager of Municipality of Monroeville and establishing compensation and benefits of the municipal manager pursuant to section 701 of the Monroeville Home Rule Charter.
And for the public edification, this is just a ordinance, requesting an ordinance only, so.
It's just authorization. to
Authorization,
advertise.
yes. I couldn't think of the word, thank you.
Okay.
Resolutions, if you would, sir.
Okay, first one is a resolution approving a waiver releasing the applicant Sri Shridi Saw Baba Temple, can't believe I got that, from installing sidewalks as required by ordinance number 1016 along Abers Creek Road at Northern Pike, and the applicant was just mentioning about that. Okay, resolution, second one's a resolution adopting the Rashid Hassan Tennis Center sewage planning module.
Paul? Any issues on this?
No issues. I was just getting up to close the door.
Oh, I saw you getting up, I'm thinking, oh, must be something wrong. Continue.
Double duty.
I'm sorry. Ordinance, if you would, Bob.
Yes, we have several ordinances here. These are housekeeping for the beginning of the new year coming up. An ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville fixing real estate millage for land, buildings, and structures for 2022 is the first one.
Next one.
Second one is an ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville to provide for the adoption of a budget containing estimates of proposed revenues and expenditures for the calendar year beginning January 1, 2022.
If you would.
Okay, and, well, just as a comment to get into the record, into the minutes, there is a sheet that was put together by Josie Rock, our finance director, of the changes that will be in the ordinance. The changes will not be in the actual copy of the ordinance you have, but the budget, if council so passes it on Tuesday, there will be, the budget will be passed contingent upon the changes that's on the spreadsheet that council has up here, and they will have a revised one based on discussions that went on in executive session, and there will be numbers, so you'll have a new revision sheet, and the budget will be passed contingent upon what council gets up here, which will be a public document.
Number 3 is an ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville continuing the deed transfer, mercantile tax, business privilege tax, and local services tax pursuant to the Local Tax Enabling Act of 1965 as amended. Number 4 is an ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville adjusting the salary system structure of 2022. Number 5 is an ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville establishing the 2022 fee schedule.
If I could just add on page 14 of that, just so council, I discussed with council on page 14 of the fee schedule, we added a new fee, which would be for a sound technician, which is now our employee, Dana Babel. And if an event is occurring at the amphitheater and they need a sound technician, before Dana was not a W-2 employee, he is now a W-2 employee, there will be a $40 per hour charge for his time to go up there and be a sound technician. That's the only added to the fee schedule.
Last ordinance is an ordinance of the Municipality of Monroeville authorizing execution of a cable franchise agreement between the Municipality of Monroeville and Comcast of Pennsylvania 2 LP.
And I went through with council on this last month on a summary of the franchise agreement for Comcast. Everything is in order, and if council has any questions on that, they can ask me. If I can't answer it, I would call the attorney, Phil Fraga from Cohen Law Group, but council didn't have any questions when we talked about this last month.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Ratcher. Now we'll move over the reports of our municipal staff, and Bob, any other words of wisdom?
Yeah, I do have one thing. I would ask for council's approval to authorize the advertisement of an ordinance to potentially amend the MS4 credit manual. This is in connection with some settlement discussions we're having with the litigation with CBL, the owners of the mall. And if it turns out that those discussions are fruitful, we anticipate some amendments, and so we'd like to advertise for that ordinance. And obviously, before any of this would take place, and we would ask council to vote on it, you'll be able to see the terms of all of the various aspects of it, so.
Can we make that motion this evening?
Yeah.
To
Well, no,
advertise?
No,
we'll put it on for
Tuesday. It'll be
I
on
just
the
want to get it
agenda?
on the agenda.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Bob, send me an email on that, so on.
I will, okay.
Hold off on you, Tim. Paul, Hugus, any words of wisdom for us, sir? Very good. Josie Rock, anything for us? Tim, you're up.
Okay, the first one is the PennDOT will be doing reconstruction on Triborough Expressway, and council has a letter attached, and it is on our website. They'll be starting construction in the spring, and so everybody is well aware of that down at the Triborough. And we have a very small part of that, as Turtle Creek has more of it in Wilmerding. Number 2 is that reorganizational meeting coming up on January the 3rd for new council members to be sworn in, just as an FYI on that. And number 3, during the first budget hearing that we had, council entertained of a discussion of quite possibly repealing, adjusting the trade show fee. And I was just wondering if there was any discussion on that, further discussion with council on that. I gave you all the ordinances. I believe there were 3 ordinances through the decades that have been passed on this. And I was just wondering if there was any discussion or anything about that further.
The only discussion I remember, and tell me,
Well, the tax collector was given his presentation for the budget, and putting it into a synopsis, the question was, well, how much do we generate from the trade show
my
fee?
discussion, as I recall, was thinking about dropping it.
Right, well,
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
that
and
bill
I
was
agree
that.
with
It-
that.
And
Right.
it was, but it was, how much was it?
We collected about $10,000 from it, and Mr. Fulkerson said, our tax collector said it was more of a nuisance fee than anything.
And then this is the one you're going to the vendors.
Right, they get the booths done at,
It's a couple bucks a table.
Yeah, it's a couple
Yeah.
bucks a table, and it's hard to keep
$2 a
track
table.
of it. It's hard to enforce it.
Tom, what do you think?
Well,
Get rid of it?
I would
Yeah,
suggest.
get rid of it.
Well, I would suggest this. I would suggest, let me talk to Sean Logan first before we do anything, okay? And we can always authorize to advertise
I think
an
anything
ordinance.
it would encourage.
More.
Yeah, well, I just want to let Sean know, authorize to advertise the repeal of that, and that, I could put that as a motion if you wish. And then the council that comes in January would have to approve that.
I'm good with that.
Good with that.
All right,
Thank you.
okay.
All righty, and as we report to council, and I'm gonna start off with you, Steve.
I have nothing, sir, today, other than one thing. I had a great time distributing those gold coins up in that 100 feet up in the air.
And you
Other
did
than that,
very
I'm
well
done.
at it, Steve. No white knuckles,
Nothing,
ball.
Tom,
nothing tonight, thank you.
very good. Ron?
Believe it or not, I'm saving my report for Tuesday.
Great.
Eric?
Same thing, Tuesday, be fine, thank you, sir.
Linda?
The only thing I'm gonna do is thank the library and the Public Works
Oh.
and Park and Rec for the Christmas event that was held at the community park. We probably had between 250 and 300 kids that we handed candy and surprises out to. So I'd like to thank all that participated in it and put the event together. I think the families were very happy with that.
Eric, I know you have to say
Yeah, I
something.
did, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I just wanted to pass my condolences on to Nicole Headline and the passing of her grandmother. Recently, she was quite close to her involved too, so that she was going to be present tonight if needed for, but she's attending with her family too, so our sympathies to her as well.
So now we'll finish with our sympathies to
Yes, no,
Nicole.
sympathies, yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's
You
fine.
reminded me of it.
Yeah,
Linda.
I know.
You done?
I'm
Yeah.
done.
And I, like everybody else, I'll save my comments for Tuesday, so I seek a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Harumph.
So, second.
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 All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you and good night.
Gave him a harumph.